And now I would love to welcome our curator for the series. April Pride is a Seattle-based creative entrepreneur and harm reduction advocate with over 2 decades of experience building brands at the intersection of lifestyle, cannabis, psychedelics, and women's health. Yeah. Her work has been featured in the New York Times, Forbes, Vice, and The Guardian. April is the founder of SetSet, the world's first clinician-approved, woman-focused platform for safe, accessible psychedelic integration. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to April Pride.
Wow. There are 3 times the number of people who were here the last time we were in this room. So, yeah. I think it does have something to do with the topic, for sure, and certainly with our featured guests. But I also think it's because the word is spreading. So thank you so much for sharing the experiences that you're having at the Salon with people that are also curious. And just a couple of items of business. I'd like to thank Town Hall. I am a one-woman show with the exception of my trusty volunteer, Andrew, who is responsible for finding Kelly and Trish, our guests tonight. And I could not see this vision through or fill this room with all of you without Town Hall. So thank you to each of you for purchasing tickets and series subscriptions, because that directly supports Town Hall, and it supports their mission for brave, honest, and trustworthy information. You can't, thank you. Yeah. You can support me directly by subscribing to my Substack. It's free. There's over 150 hours of podcast episodes. There's a 12-part series on microdosing psilocybin for menopause. And if you value the information that I'm sharing, you can become an annual member. For under $100 a year, you can access our psychedelic toolkit, which is clinician-created guides. And also, we do connect our members with safe, trusted psychedelic medicine. Let's see, what else? Our cards. You have cards on each of your seats. These are SetSet psychedelic integration cards. Enjoy them. Use them as an integration card for the week. Play with your kids, your friends. They're a lot of fun. They were really fun to create. And they're over here at the blue and white table. Pay what you'd like. Use the QR codes and check yourself out. So, if you have any questions, you can just let me know. All right, so now, let's... We are here to talk about Mycelopause. Yes, and I'm gonna read, so I don't miss anything that's amazing about each of these women. Our co-authors are Kelly McGinty and Dr. Trish Singh. Mycelopause, Uncovering the Magic of Menopause with Psilocybin. It's co-authored by these 2 ladies, a menopause guide combining science and storytelling that journeys into the intersection of psychedelics, perimenopause, and personal transformation. Kelly McGinty is an accredited nurse practitioner with a master's in nursing from Gonzaga. After over a decade as an emergency department MP, Kelly sought holistic approaches to address pandemic-related burnout and mental health crises. Her transformative experiences with psychedelics led her to study psychedelic-assisted therapy at the California Institute of Integral Studies. Kelly integrates Reiki, herbology, Druidic traditions to help her clients, who include first responders, end-of-life patients, and those with treatment-resistant conditions. Do you go by Patricia or Trish? Yeah, Trish. Dr. Trish Singh is a licensed professional clinical counselor. She lives in New Mexico. She's also licensed in New Mexico and California, and she has over 25 years experience in behavioral health. She holds a doctorate in mind-body medicine with an emphasis on integrative mental health and is certified is certified in psychedelic assisted therapy, also through the California Institute of Integral Studies. Yeah, exactly. Dr. Singh integrates Ayurvedic principles, trauma-informed care, and psychedelic preparation and integration into her clinical work, where she focuses on post-traumatic stress, addiction, and family trauma. I love this part. She is the founder of A New Awakening Counseling, a progressive rehabilitation center facility serving individuals re-entering society after incarceration. Her current research centers on holistic weight loss strategies for menopausal women. So please join me in giving these two women a round of applause for joining us. All right, so I have some questions, and I know you'll all have some questions too. Hopefully I'll cover some of what you're curious about. My first question is, you want us to get on board with thinking that menopause is positive. Yes. To reframe it as, in your words, a rite of passage rather than a crisis or a decline. What inspired you to approach it that way?
For me, it was when my perimenopausal symptoms started, when my insomnia was off the hook and I had ringing in my ears, which I attributed to too many concerts. And I finally went to my nurse practitioner, who thankfully was an HRT goddess. And she said, girl, this is perimenopause, and be prepared to never sleep again. I was like, well, that's terrible. This sounds terrible. She said, there's really not anything that's great. I mean, we can use Prozac. We can even use these anti-seizure medications for your hot flashes. And, you can kind of mitigate it. But, here we go. And I said, I don't want to drive this struggle bus all around by myself. There's got to be a better solution. And I got on bioidentical HRT, which was great, and started to address the physiological changes, and was talking with Trish, who has gone before me a little bit with the process. And we started to say, how can we transect Western medicine and this holistic modality to have a better holistic approach to women's health? And then we started experimenting on each other kind of with these different microdosing regimens. And I really felt this is how we can empower women instead of dismiss them. And then as the synergy happens, in my patient experiences, women would come to me, and I'd say that you are not alone. Like, we can do this. And they just had been gaslighted and like, oh, just go birth control. Women have been doing this for centuries. You're fine. I'm not fine, I would hear. I'm really like losing my mind. I'm losing my relationship, my identity. What can we do? And I didn't want anybody to be dismissed. And we really thought that this would be a great pathway, and we believe in it, and it's been working for us, and we think we can flip the script.
Who wants to be invisible? Right? So it was, I think I had that thought myself, but in talking to women, and they were like, I feel like I'm becoming invisible. I was like, what do you, invisible? And I realized that we either start becoming visible through our symptoms, right? Like, please see me. Like, I'm burning up, I can't sleep, I'm grouchy. And then, there's these comments like, oh, she's really grumpy right now. Like, I don't know what this is. And then you feel this burning inside of you, right? This heat. And instead of it being something to manage or handle, another part of our lives that needs to be handled, what if it can be explored? What does that look like? And for myself, I did not know. I thought I was losing my damn mind. I thought it was burnout. I needed a new career. I needed to do something else. I found a new career in psychedelics. Seems like a fun thing to do when you're burned out, right? And undergoing psychedelic-assisted treatment and going through that therapy. But the first time, I had co-facilitators, and they were walking me through, and they were like, well, tell me about your childhood. I was like, not again. Do I do this again? Literally, I've spent my life in therapy. I think I am a therapist, like really, But as it got closer to Journey Day, I would just kind of put it off. And I would start saying, you want to talk about my childhood now? Because this is scary. This is a big cliff to jump off of. And realizing that it wasn't as mystical and magical as it was identifying who I am again. First knowing my body. I had the most profound message. Can I just share my most profound message? I had to pee. I was working so hard and so back to back that I never even took time to go to the bathroom. And there was this message in my journey. It was like, I think I should just take some breaks and pee every once in a while. But that is the big, that is our root chakra, right? That is where this heat is starting from. And for me, that was this aha moment. I was like, could this be menopause? And I got to start that journey on psychedelics and menopause.
I have questions, but I'm going to stick to the script. How do you see psilocybin specifically addressing symptoms like anxiety, depression, or racing thoughts that so many women report in midlife?
This is where you have a nurse practitioner and a therapist. It's really cool. I'll let the nurse practitioner go first about neurons and
Sure, I'll talk about the
geek out on that.
physiological. Yes,
Yeah.
I love that part because it makes me feel like I'm not crazy, which is great. I love that. Estrogen is such an important chemical in our body, and it really is in charge of upregulating the serotonin in how it works, the receptors work, and how it's available in the body. So when estrogen tanks and starts to change and wax and wane in perimenopause and then really just dwindles in menopause and postmenopause, you get a dive. You're not losing your mind. This is actually a physiological change, and it's responsible for dopamine, pleasure, norepinephrine, energy, glutathione, focus. So these are physiological changes in the body. And though I wish I could say psilocybin increases, estrogen, God, wouldn't that be amazing? We could just be dosing it out for everybody. And testosterone, everybody would be on it. That would be a dream. I can't say that, but what I can say is that it hits the same receptor. So when your body is low on estrogen and your receptors are sad, we can give them a little boost. We can help bridge that experience a little bit. It's a nice tool, right, to pair. And then we try to fix the estrogen as well. But this just helps. So you can use it cyclically, during different times of your cycle, in different seasons. I live in Washington. Seasonal affective disorder is a thing. I don't maybe want to be on an SSRI or an SNRI all year long, but I can microdose for, 6 to 12 months out of the year if I'm really having a hard time. 6 to 12 months. Well, okay, 6 to 12 weeks or months.
very long year.
It's a very long year, very long winter. Now you know what it's like to be in the Pacific Northwest. So, yeah, I think that's how you can transect it. There is a physiological response there, and where we're actually boosting these receptors that are kind of sad in perimenopause.
I have a question.
Okay.
Are you saying that we cannot say that psilocybin replaces estrogen because we do not have clinical evidence of that?
Yes, I would love more research. Right. And yes, test me. I could be your guinea pig, yeah.
But anecdotally, and sort of thinking of how the body works, you're hypothesizing that perhaps maybe that's what's going on?
I think that it definitely affects that axis, right? The hypothalamus, pituitary, ovarian axis, and the adrenal glands. And if you can calm your stress response, maybe your hormones can pick up a little bit. We're never going to fix it, right? There's this natural decline. That's where HRT comes in. We like to transect it. We like to use what we have. Western medicine is great. I think that it can be beneficial in that. But we don't know for certain. We need more research in that regard.
We need more research on menopausal women. In general. Absolutely. At different phases of menopause as well, because we are complex creatures. And we have to have more research. And that's, not been the sexiest part of research. So what about that anxiety and brain fog, right? That's super fun. So with psychedelics, it's interesting because whatever you pushed into the back of the closet and you put away and you either put it away with a therapist or you put it away with substances or you put it away just to put it away, it has a way of creeping back into your consciousness. And as those hormones are doing all their beautiful things that they like to do, that dance, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, the anxiety creeps up. Also, your life is changing. The people that you love are changing. Change is never the most comfortable experience for any of us. And there's this thought that, if I do psychedelic assisted therapy or I microdose, that, everything's going to get better. It doesn't work like that kind of medicine. It's not going to work like an antidepressant. But it does take off pieces of layers and maybe pulls out just an outfit from the closet and says, do we really need this anymore? Does it fit you still? Do you want to wear it again? Some people hold on to it, right? We hold on to some of the things that even make us anxious, some of the things that make us scared. If we're hanging on to it, it'll just keep nagging at us. This is a wonderful season, and yes, I am very excited about menopause because this is a season where you can clean out that closet. What doesn't fit? What no longer serves you? And can you try it on? You can try it on. Anybody who's done psychedelics knows that sometimes you try on some outfits and that you try on some outfits and you're like, oof.
Too tight.
Too tight. Way too tight. Anxiety is a knock on the door. It is not necessarily a problem. It can be a problem if you get stuck in that chapter, if you get stuck in that loop. But it's also a knock. Can you address it? And psychedelics really helps address some of the roots, some of the things that have been lingering.
Yes. Midlife women often turn to self-treatment when healthcare fails them. How can psilocybin be integrated without becoming another DIY workaround?
I'm so sick of self-care.
Oh,
It's really like one more thing I got to do, like one more membership. Like, do I got to join the gym? What do I have to do? Self-care feels very stressful for me. It's like, what do I have to do? So I'm changing that script. It's not self-care, it's self-awareness. And utilizing psychedelics have helped me become aware of what is that makes my heart skip? What is that I'm passionate about that I haven't touched or examined in a while? What is that anger? Where did that come from? And who am I really pissed at? Like, what is that space? And so the self-awareness is also linked to mindfulness, right? Taking that moment, that pause. Through microdosing, the pause is much easily accessible for me. And to be able to be in community to also integrate it and talk about it and normalize it, take some of the shame and the shoulda, coulda, woulda of self-care. So not another do-it-yourself project. It really should be a communal reckoning. Like, we're in a group of humans here. We have beautiful male partners that are with us. We have, community gets lost, especially as we no longer identify with the drop-off lane at school, or we're not the primary caretaker. So finding our community and finding our voice is much more impactful than another do-it-yourself, let's get healthy kick.
love it. Well, that's how we came up with the name, right? Yes, exactly. Mycelopause is the connection. It's the community, right? This isn't a solo mission. Really, the wisdom you take from the medicine is integrated with your friends, your family, your community. And just like the mycelial network in the forest, sharing nutrients, sharing information, communicating, connecting, right? Building a stronger foundation. That's what we really see in the medicine. Don't do it yourself. Share your messiest, hardest experiences, so maybe your girlfriend can say, "Oh God, thank you for I'm not alone. Thank you for helping me," and feeling like this is a normal journey for me. And I don't have to struggle. It's like those DIY fails you say, you see, share those, right? Share it so that we can all be connected and know that you don't have to go through it by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I take pharmaceuticals. I'm very, very grateful for them. No shame in doing what we need to do. But we have a system that prescribes medication and then asks us to go along with our day. And I think that system is broken. So I feel like psilocybin's an invitation to try and do it differently, and community seems to be the difference. That's what I'm seeing.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that point up about Western medicine. We are all for it. It has a great modality. We want to take the information that we've learned from science and also try these other holistic modalities. Bring everything together. It's patient-centered. What's your goal? What's your wellness journey? And how can we support?
Yeah, I mean, it's not one size fits all. There's one thing. You all tried lots of protocols with microdosing, and what I've heard is that women microdose intuitively. They don't really stick to every third day, 4 days on, 3 days off. You're finding that too?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. And we want people to find that inner wise person within you. What does that say? Don't just microdose to make
she looks
something
like my
go
mom,
away.
Though. I don't know.
Maybe. She must be beautiful. But, tap into what feels right and then have a conversation. Even with the microdose, have a conversation. This is about infinite possibilities and creativity. It doesn't have to be a prescription.
Yeah, and those possibilities, psilocybin does help to expand what we see as possible because we've been doing it the same way. You recommend pairing microdosing and practices like meditation and breath work. This goes back to the self-care. How do you advise women who feel maxed out, working, caregiving, running? Oh, I think my cursor started deleting things. Sorry, never mind. That's all I have to say.
I think your cursor is wise.
Go ahead.
Yeah, don't make it a to-do list. Don't do that to this space. Give yourself freedom to explore. Freedom to know what feels like the right dose, but also the set and setting, right? Where are you finding sanctuary? Where are you finding safety? Where are you finding peace? Do you have that? This is about finding this holistic space, not looking for not another to-do list, like, oh my gosh, I forgot my microdose, so it's going to be a bad day. I mean, that's not what it should be sacred. It's a sacrament to be able to, honor a space to do something that betters your mental health and your partner's mental health, and be in community. There should not be shame and hiding, and I hope that the world that my daughters inherit is a world where this isn't an option; it's also their right, and they have rights. I think that would be really awesome. Kind of really hoping for that, but I'm also hoping that there isn't shame and stigma around the word menopause. It's been the most incredible journey to release a book on menopause, because I literally see menopausal women not want to even touch the book. They're like, I might catch it. But young women are coming up and they're like petting it, and they're like, oh, thank you. This is beautiful. So we are representing a path for younger generations to feel embraced. So I just welcome you all being here.
Just to add to that, I think that the medication's not the destination, it's the pathway. And as you work with the medicine, you build a relationship and you start to listen to that inner healer. You have the wisdom inside you. We just have this compartmentalized ego that helps us survive on the day-to-day basis. And once you can get out of your own way and you listen to your voice inside and you start prioritizing yourself, and you start making the changes, right? This is cultural change at an individual level that ripples off into your friends, into your families, into your kids. And that's how we make the change. So it's not just that you take the pill and everything gets better. It's the path that it leads you down to where your answer lies.
Yeah, you got to do the work. Sorry, you got to do the work. I mean, no one wants to hear it, but
You have to do the work.
it's a lot of discomfort. Consciousness as a theme is showing up everywhere. Michael Pollan just announced that his next book is on consciousness. It's going to be released in February. Dan Brown just came out with a book that's focused on consciousness. How can exploring consciousness help women in midlife?
We just guided a beautiful middle-aged woman who we talked a lot about with this in the recent weeks. And we focused a lot on unnaming, right? So consciousness is just living in the moment and experiencing it for its true essence and unnaming it, right? That's not a tree, because then everything's a tree, and that tree and that tree and everything's a tree. That's not really the experience. So psychedelics in midlife for women is unnaming parts of yourself, right? I'm not just my career. I'm not just a mom. Like, who am I? Like, live in that moment. What do you get to be? This kind of unwritten script. What do you want? Listening to self-awareness, finding what your new dream is and living and enjoying that experience for what it is. Not forcing it, not putting a label on it or putting it in a box, but unnaming it and being just raw in that experience.
You get to define your own consciousness. And that's powerful and important. That's hard to research, hard to study. Can't necessarily see it under a functional MRI. Has anybody in here ever done a heroic journey on psychedelics? Oh yeah, look at this group. This is a good group. So if you've done a heroic dose, which means, pretty powerful, more than a microdose, and you ask somebody, so what's it like in there? And universally people go, wow. I don't think there's words for that. So consciousness, I don't think there's words for that, right? You get to explore that without the language, without being told what it's supposed to be, without the labels, without the box. It is not all unicorns and glitter, and it's not to find happiness. Sorry. It's to find you. And you're pretty complicated and beautiful, even in the messy parts. That's consciousness.
I feel like we're going to talk about shadow work here.
Probably are.
Many of our mothers and grandmothers never spoke about menopause. So how can we talk about it so the next generation does not carry that shame? So we were talking earlier, and you were talking about how women are repelled by the book. And I said, is it because it's menopause or psilocybin? And I knew the answer. It's because it's menopause. There's less stigma around drugs than there is around our body changing. Yeah. So how can we fix this?
I remember growing up and nobody could talk about their period. Anybody remember that? Like, don't talk about, and you had to hide the Tampax boxes. Like, don't even buy that in front. And if the store clerk was a man, like, sweet Lord, do not buy the Tampax in front of the male clerk. So this isn't new for us. This isn't new. Hiding our femininity or hiding, just part of our biology isn't new. And it's been generational and generational. When women's voices can't be heard in younger generations, it can't be taught, it can't be passed on from generation to generation, it's not role modeled, it becomes very scary. It becomes taboo. It becomes something we have to mask and make it look a certain sort of way. So it starts with us. Talk about it. Let's not hide from that. Just about the time when we're comfortable buying our Tampax boxes, we stop having a period. So let's normalize talking about just our power, right? And there's this viral social media campaign. What's it called? We Don't Care. What is it? We don't care, right? And it's so powerful, right? Because it just gets to name it in a playful sort of way. So some of it's not taking ourselves so seriously. Psychedelics are really fun for that. And some of it's about taking ourselves very seriously and owning our power.
The new thing for my daughter and her age group is period parties. She's like, Mom, are you going to throw me a period party? Yeah, girl. Looking it up, I don't even know what that means, but I am on it. I support it 100%. Red velvet cake apparently is a thing. Okay, we're going for it. We're in balloons, all the things. Let's normalize it. Let's throw a party about your body, because what an amazing thing. You're right. This is to be celebrated, right? Not to be dismissed. It's to be empowered, not dismissed. And I would love to see more education, in nursing and in medical fields. I think when I was studying for my nursing board, this is a long time ago, but it was like, menopause, like the absence of a period for 12 months. Okay, well, there's a little bit more nuances that go along with it. I'd like to just maybe rewrite that chapter a little bit. And that's so sad. I was thinking about buying a nursing textbook just to look it up. Thank you for telling me. That saves me some money. We need to talk about it. And my hope is that, in the future, every provider's, women that are in their mid-30s, sorry, ladies, what are you having these symptoms? And not just like hot flashes and, are you skipping periods, but this litany of symptoms that you can have, and how can we start to protect your body, right? Because estrogen is really protective for our bones, for our neurocognitive health, for our heart. Let's get you on sooner rather than later so we can help with the symptoms, but we can also give you wellness and functional independence into your 80s and 90s.
So, okay, I want to make sure we're... All right, so we've got less than 10 minutes, and then we're going to start taking audience questions.
Let's do the goddess question.
Okay. I appreciate it. Okay. Finally, you use the word goddess in your work. I have been reluctant to adopt that term with my audience because it feels mimetic, even reductive. Can you share why you chose it and how you'd invite women who don't identify with labels, like us Gen Xers, like that into the conversation?
I think about goddess not as the modern stereotype, but as an archetype, right? She's fierce, right? She's across generations and across cultures. I mean, think about Kali Ma. She had 6 arms and there were severed heads in like 3 of them. I mean, she's powerful, right? She's a leader. She can be destructive, but she knows what she wants and she goes after it. That's really the realm, right? So not everybody has to use that. It's kind of like a doorway. If you're called, pass through it and see where it leads. And if you're not, you can pass by it. But really flip the script. I'm not talking about Victoria's Secret, wings and walking down the runway. I'm talking about Kali Ma. Like, take your identity. What do you want? What do you want now in this phase of your life? And go for it. That's kind of the goddess realm in my mind.
I like a different archetype. I love the crone. Anybody else love the crone? So it's one that I first became enchanted with in college by a beautiful book called Women Who Run with the Wolves. Yay. Yeah? And she just opened my eyes to just this other version of femininity. And it's little scary and it's a little dark. And really, as I was going through my own journeys, but just my own healing and coming to acceptance of who I am at this particular stage of my life, I liked the crone. I really liked it. I liked taking it back from Hansel and Gretel, taking it back from eating small children or the youth. There's some power in that. I mean, there's some times where I'm sure my daughters are listening. They're 16 and 28, and there's times I wanted to make sure that they weren't eaten. But that crone energy. So there's the goddess, there's the crone, there's so many different archetypes that have been placed on feminine energy, right? The maiden. Everybody likes that one. No one seems to walk away from those books. Owning the shadow of it is important as well. And also defining who you are. Who are you in your archetype? You know, are you Kali Ma? Are you the crone? What are you? You get to define. Are you the elder? Are you the wise woman? Just don't be invisible. Yeah. Just don't be invisible.
For people who may not be familiar with the crone, can you very quickly explain what crone is? So the crone is a elder woman who typically lives in a dark forest. Typically. Until deforestation led her out of the forest and encroached upon the urban cities, where she was forced to. But it's really this archetype of being fearful of the old woman, of what she could do, and warning children to stay away from the old woman, because you don't know what she'll do to you. But and many cultures have a different version of that. I'm from the Southwest. I'm from New Mexico, and we have La Llorona. Anybody know La Llorona? The first time I heard the fairy tale of La Llorona, or folktale, scared the bejesus out of me. And I won't go near a ditch or an open body of water, because it's this story of a woman who, I mean, there's different tales of that, and I probably will screw it up, but essentially her children drown, whether she drowned them for the love of a man or they were drowned while the man was out, something to do with the man and drowning children. And then she haunts bodies of water, and children are warned, stay away from the open rivers, La Llorona will get you. And the crone is similar to this. So there's many, many stories in fairy tales and our mythology archetype, which is to be fearful of our aging. And especially for young women, to be fearful of the older woman. And older women being predatory towards the youth. So to reclaim the crone as a positive archetype, in that I'm not going to eat the young, I'm not seeking the. I mean, if we really think about how we are chasing youth in our society, there's a little thread of truthfulness of what we're afraid of, right? We're afraid of that getting lost in the forest and being irrelevant. And it kind of goes full circle to when I talk to women, and their biggest fear in aging is to be invisible. What can I do to make myself be seen? And usually that has to do with our bodies. Again, like even now, it's about our bodies and how we show up in our body form. So kind of looping that back to consciousness, are you more than just a body? What else is there if it's not your body? And we have to really kind of find that space. So the crone for me is, owning the power of the mysterious of that space. Thank you. I just want to touch on something that we spoke about, which is older elders choosing psychedelics and having relevancy with their kids and something to talk about with their kids. That was such cool insight, right? So,
we've worked with many seniors. I think the oldest Voyager that we've worked with is 85. And coming out of their psychedelic experience, just wanting to tell all the young people, like, if I would have had this when I was younger. Now, fill in the blank what that would look like. It's a new psychedelic revolution. That it's more than just a drug culture. It's more than just a wellness move or a do-it-yourself move. It is a space where I really think younger generations are watching and like, how will you heal so that I have a path?
A
We're
revelation.
really doing it a disservice by making it into a part of the wellness industry. Ketamine spas. That's happening. That is happening.
Yeah, here's medicine, but don't do any of the work. I mean, those are the ketamine spas are the infusions, but none of the work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're friends here. I'm bringing my readers out. Okay, so these are questions from the audience. Thank you so much for submitting them. I'm going to start to read some, and if you would like to step up to the mic and ask questions, please remember to keep it to questions. We would love to hear testimonials after. We have about 30 minutes. Okay, is it easy to grow your own private stash of mushrooms?
Not for me.
It's an amazing science experiment, and it takes a lot of skill, and there's risk for contamination, but it's a great journey, and there's a lot of information online to how to do it safely.
It's like houseplants. Some people can do it, some people can't. I mean, I think, right? All right, would you like to?
Hi, thank you guys.
Hi.
Okay, this isn't an awkwardly. I'm going to move it. Okay, so the thing that is most telling to me about menopause is that there are no two journeys that are the same. And for me, part of my journey has been hormone positive cancer, which means that HRT, which was working great for me, had to go out the window. And so I guess my question for you, which it sounds like you can't quite answer, is whether or not psilocybin has hormonal, would it be a no-go for someone like me? Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. And I had a mammogram and the series of them, and I told the radiologist, pulled him in by his lab coat, do not take my HRT from me. So I feel you, right? And it was working, and it's a loss, right? Because it was a tool that was really helpful. I think psilocybin would be safe for you. We don't think that right now we don't have the information that it makes estrogen in the body, just that it stimulates the same serotonin receptors. So I think it could be absolutely healing and beneficial, and it would help with the mood, with your healing journey, right? That would be a great tool. So lean into that and explore it. And if you have any questions, you can find me after and we can talk more.
Hi, thank you for speaking tonight. I'm Melanie. Thank you for signing the book my wife bought. Just one quick statement and then a question. The statement is in regards to women feeling invisible. As a lesbian, I think a lot of that has to do with the male gaze. And that felt like a very heteronormative thing to hear for me, because I'm not so sure that people in my community feel the same. The question for me is how to access these things. I have a friend who turned us on to microdosing. We found a group that makes chocolate with little bits, and we started trying that. She felt a difference, I didn't really, but we really haven't talked about, well, how do we access a heroic journey? I used to trip in the 70s when I was in high school, everybody did. Psilocybin, window pane, etc. I have no idea. You feel me? Who's in there? Grateful Dead concerts, But how do I access that now as a 68-year-old lady who just moved to Seattle? I wouldn't have any idea how to get there. What's that?
Are you asking how to... Exactly. Welcome to Seattle. There are spore spreaders. Are you asking where you can find medicine? Are you asking where you can work with people for a heroic
A
dose?
little bit of both. I mean,
Okay.
maybe people in the audience
Yeah.
have no idea that you can buy chocolate online by getting into.
Be careful with that. Be careful with that.
Well, and that's what I don't know, is what's legal, what's not legal, how do you access it? I don't really know other than what I've already had access to.
That is a great question. It's tricky because it's not exactly legal. And depending on your jurisdiction, it's not legal. There are, in Washington, what is the...
It's decriminalized in Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah, which means we can gift you. You can have it for personal consumption, for spiritual, personal growth practices, religious practices, and you can gift it to one another, which is what I think the medicine wants us to do. So if you're one of those people good with houseplants, good with mushrooms, gift it to people. Yeah.
Is it Gift, Gather, Grow here in Seattle? Yeah. I love that.
Gift, gather, grow. We can
Yes.
take that in your notebook.
Great, therapists are starting to have procurers of medicine, facilitators. Oregon has some beautiful programs that you can go and attend a guided session, and they will give you the medicine. It's, state-governed psilocybin facilitation, but you can get beautiful medicine that's tested and supplied to you, and you can be in a safe setting of people that are licensed to facilitate you, so that you know that they have passed some, educational requirements and some ethical board requirements, and they're there to hold a great container very safely for you.
So you just get on Google and look up
You could.
places in Oregon?
Intertrek is a great facility. We love Intertrek. We've done some training with them. There's a card right there from your fellow audience member.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love Seattle for that very reason.
I mean, the best way
I'm good. I'm good.
is right there.
I'm good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Gift, gather, grow.
To be in community, I think to kind of simplify this is that I don't want you to do Google. No, there's no Amazon. Thank goodness for Amazon, I guess, in Washington. But be mindful that we're not ordering. But be in community, being in a group. We can educate each other. We can educate each other on our path. Thank you for pointing out the male gaze. That's a beautiful space. And but we need each other to know these stories. Not telling the stories doesn't help us. And the more we talk in community, there will be a beautiful, absolute radiant being that will just slide you a card. And I believe that being has a comment or question, and we will let her advertise at our table afterwards.
My name's Sunny. I'm actually non-binary and they, them. And there's a lot of people who go through menopause who don't necessarily identify as female. And when I think about psilocybin and then I think about menopause, I'm peri right now, so I haven't somatically been through the full situation yet. But I'm curious if we could hear from y'all from a biomimicry standpoint. When I lead people through heroic doses, there's this restructuring that psilocybin does. So I'm curious, you're all about reframing menopause, how could y'all share with us some of how you think psilocybin mirrors menopause in that restructuring? How the body...
That is a beautiful question. That is great. It's meeting yourself and your guides, and whatever that looks like. And then the juice of that is in your integration, right? The juice of that is, what does that mean for me? And to talk about it. To talk about it. We've actually noticed that we've guided 2 women recently that after their heroic journey, what they experienced on the inside, not only did they not have words for, but it resurfaced so much shame and anguish that they didn't even want to talk about it or do the integration work. So without having this other dialogue, it's like the restructuring doesn't get to happen, right? The restructuring is putting the pieces back together. It's taking the pieces apart and then putting it back together. And we need more stories, right? This is still, we're quasi above ground right now. quasi above ground. And the only reason we're quasi above ground is because of the research that has been done, that there's a movement for legalization. But when they do research on folks that fit very specific boxes, still largely white male. Females are tough to research because we have a lot going on. And then to talk about non-binary, we don't have those studies. We don't have those narratives. And if those narratives aren't in the world, it's going to get left behind. So this is a conversation that needs to be talked about more and shared in community and written about and being part of our dialogue. Great question.
Great, beautiful question. And I think about the nature of fungus and mycelium, and it decomposes, right? And then beautiful new things flourish in that space. It's the same inside, right? Take it all the way down and then build whatever you want. That's the integration piece. It's an unwritten, unnamed entity that you get to put together. And what a beautiful concept. Thank you for bringing that.
Thank you all.
And write that book.
Hey there, thanks for being here. Great listening to you all. Kind of following on what Sunny was asking about, just coming at this from a non-female perspective, and also, Melanie bringing up just approaching it from a non-straight perspective. This is an almost 100% room of white people. So I was wondering if you, in your experience of talking about this, have any experience, like are people of color, are these conversations happening there? Or, like, we feel safe. I don't feel threatened. I don't feel like cops are going to come in and fuck with us, but I don't know if it would feel like that if I was up on 23rd and Jackson at a community church. And anyway, I was just wondering if you have experience, like if you know if these kinds of conversations are happening in other communities, in more like focused on communities of color and lower income communities.
Accessibility is almost non-existent. And I'm licensed in Colorado, and was license number 23 in Colorado, and the rooms are white and affluent. It is the Renaissance above ground is not looking diverse. It's not. It is still not entirely safe. I think there's a great deal of privilege to be able to be in a room of 270 people and talk about something that is federally illegal in an open forum, right? And I don't think that it's safe for all populations and all representation to be present. Now, that said, it's happening for, there is communities that are exploring psychedelics, and they have psychedelic communities, but they may not have the same privilege. They don't have the same privilege to be able to talk about it openly. Yeah. In an open mic sort of way. Yeah. It needs to shift. It needs to change. It also needs to have more safety for others to be able to come forward.
There are some great nonprofit organizations out of Oregon that are working towards accessibility for people of color. And we had two of our guides, when we were getting certified for Colorado's natural medicine, we went through Intertrek in Oregon, and two of our guides have a nonprofit, and the name is escaping me right now, perimenopause moment, the name. But if you come see me at the table, I will text, and because there's some great work that is starting, and people are really promoting that and trying to bring accessibility. We're trying, but Trish is right. This is, it's primarily affluent white people that are licensed right now in Colorado.
100%.
Yeah, 4.5 years ago, when I moved from the cannabis space, started exploring the psychedelic space, it was pretty clear that the communities that could benefit the most were not being served. It was expensive retreats, it's one-on-one facilitation at hundreds of dollars an hour, microdose coaches, all the rest of it. And Set was really intended to figure out, how can we make this more accessible? How can we make sure that the information that people are getting is from a licensed provider? It's not from fucking TikTok. So yeah, that's something that's really, really important to me. And Set was created for the 3 out of 4 people that do psychedelics in the wild with their friends and family, like we've been doing it for generations. Learn how to do it, help each other. That may not be a popular, answer, but it's harm reduction, right? We can figure out how to help each other. But being in places like this where you can find someone who could be a trip sitter, give you trusted medicine, this is where it starts.
And I will say, I'm from New Mexico, and there's advocacy that needs to happen too. There's legislation that needs to happen. There's laws that need to be passed. In New Mexico, when we have legalization in 2027, it's written into our laws, and we passed by legislation, not by voter referendum. So it is part of our Department of Health, and it will be able to be reimbursed under our Medicaid system. So it'll be the very first state. It's also the first state that has free childcare. So thank you to my governor. Very proud of her. But it'll be the first state that is able to be reimbursed by Medicaid if all goes according to plan. We have to still really do a lot of work around our how we write this into our bills. But there's money set aside in the Department of Health for accessibility to be able to serve those that are underserved. So we have voices, and you should have your voice. You almost have an obligation that if you're sitting in this room, you should be able to advocate and push that forward. How do you make things accessible? We stop making them so exclusive.
Preach, thank you. I have 2 questions. How, as a perimenopausal woman, how often is it safe? How often is it safe for me to do a heroic journey? And then to SSRI or microdose, to SSRI and microdose? Those are my questions. Basically, I wonder what your responses are.
A lot of new research coming out with SSRIs and use of psilocybin. So large doses, not a lot of microdosing studies, but large doses and safety in SSRIs. And we're finding that the risk of serotonin syndrome is less than we thought it was, right? All those healthy norms, those were the first wave of studies, and we needed that. We need that data and we need that information. But now more studies are coming, and shown to be safe. We can titrate down and maybe not off of SSRIs. We can use them in conjunction with. We can help people get off of, right? So you can do a heroic dose on a low SSRI dose and then see how you feel and maybe microdose to come off the rest. So there's some options. It's variable options kind of based on your goal and your experience and your symptoms, right? And the journeys, the research is, every 2 to 4 weeks in a set of 3, right? That's kind of what we've looked at, Johns Hopkins, NYU, these studies. But people do that more frequently, right? And don't have harm. But Trish and I also have seen people who are like, that is one journey too many. I mean, maybe you need to just pause and not do medicine for a whole year, and let's integrate all these lessons. Are you chasing the medicine and not doing the work? Is it the spiritual bypass piece? What exactly are the gains that you're looking for doing so many journeys right in a row? So again, nuanced for every individual because everybody's different, but there's so many options, right? And this is really where we hope to see more psychedelic allies in the medical and therapeutic realm so that they can help guide based on your individual history. Know you, help guide you with your medications. Even if they're not doing it or facilitating, they at least have the verbiage and the framework of the research to be able to guide people safely.
Thank you. Yeah, something that I've been saying recently, because I've been observing that chasing so many journeys, so many. We as a society are so ashamed to be high, right? It's fun to take drugs and be high, but people have to wrap it in this I'm journeying and I'm gonna find myself fucking rapper. And really, they just, I mean, honestly, that is what it is. And it makes them feel like there's a purpose or an intention around what is really recreational drug use. And that's okay. Not every journey is about what we're talking about up here. So, yeah, I mean, just be real honest with yourself. You don't have to tell anyone else what you're up to, but I mean, yeah.
This is an appropriate follow-up question, maybe.
I love that as well.
What advice might you have for people who are scared of trying? I'm scared of drugs.
Is that because you've tried them and you had a bad experience, or you've never tried?
I've never tried psilocybin.
Okay.
But yeah.
But you have had an adverse experience.
Yeah, but not like terrible. I'm just maybe afraid of my own mind.
I think that that's also some wisdom to be afraid of your own mind. I think that, whether we reframe it as fear or, just, yeah, it's scary in there, actually. It is. It's scary in there. And I think that anxiety, fear, trepidation is normal and healthy. And do it anyway, right? Do what scares you, because there's something probably really interesting and yummy, but do it safely, right? Do the right amount of preparation, which means you explore those fears. Like, what's the worst thing? What are you expecting in that closet? What's going to get pulled out? And for a lot of us, me included, it was about the trauma, right? Am I going to be, comatose and not able to move for 6 hours and reliving my trauma over and over again? That was really my fear, right? It was that the trauma would come back. And every time I do a journey, it's like, oh, is this the one where I'm just going to relive something that's horrible? And although that hasn't happened, other things have happened. And there's dark stuff in there. There's some dark stuff that you need to process and disintegrate and play with and look at it, but a really strong support system, and to be honest about the fear. Be honest about it. What might be there? Can we talk about it? Can we explore it? But I love that you asked that question, because fear is part of it, right? So, I mean, yeah, just jump in there and see what's there to explore. And I'm glad that you're bringing that to the fore, and I think that you're going to find some beautiful things in there too.
I'd like to just add that most of our voyagers are psychedelic naive. They may never have done that. So you find a nurse practitioner and a therapist. Hi, I'm Kelly. This is Trish. You call us up. We give you a really safe container to do it therapeutically, right? It's set and setting, it's intention, it's integration. It's safety, right? And you can explore those really scary places, and knowing that even you come out of the blindfold like, okay, you're here and you're not panicked. You don't look like the world is melting. Nope, it's all good. You can go back inside and you can see what else is in there. So finding that facilitation that can hold you in that space so that you can get in there really deep, that's the key. So come find us. We'll talk.
Thank you. I do actually have a really great network, and we got a guy if people want, like a really lovely,
Got a guy.
trustworthy
Love
guy.
it.
So, if you want to find us.
Yay for community. Yay.
I'm looking at a lot of these questions that were submitted. Thank you again for submitting them. I do take them and answer them on a lot of these. I already have the answer on Subtext. So, like, what are some microdosing protocols? But this is, can you start hormone therapy after 60? Yeah.
Yes, you can. In fact, I was encouraging my 80-year-old mom to go talk to her gynecologist, and the gynecologist said, well, what's the point? And I said, give me that woman's number. I'm calling her right now. Like, this is, there's no reason that you can't start it, right? It's not too late, and it's just kind of unfortunate, about the women's health mishap 20 years ago. She was right in the height of menopause during that time. So no, it's not too late, and yes, you can, and just like microdose some HRT until you don't want to or you don't need it anymore, like you haven't on the planet any longer.
what's the point?
I
It's just
love
rude.
this question because I'm so curious if we should just be taking estrogen because it's so good for our brain. Could psilocybin be used in lieu of HRT, or would you still need to use HRT for non-anxiety related menopausal symptoms?
It's a combination of both, right? Each are a great tool. I really feel that if it's safe for you and your medical history allows it, that you could use both. I think that you should use both. And like I said, psilocybin, we don't have proof that it makes estrogen. That would be amazing. But right now, we need to use the estrogen and progesterone if you have a uterus, right, to complement so it's safe. And even some testosterone. This is a huge thing in HRT, is giving women a little of testosterone too. It can really help the libido.
Right, yeah. I've tried mushrooms a few times and they had no noticeable effect on me. If it matters, these were from high quality trusted source and did produce effects for others. Would microdosing actually have an effect if macrodosing doesn't? Because it's subperceptual, so you don't know if it's, quote, working, right?
Unless you overshoot your microdose, then you know. Then you
Can you give us a quick,
And that is really awkward.
no. Microdose is 1/20th of a standard dose. Can you tell us, there is a question about what is how much is a microdose?
Right. There's really no set amount. I know this is kind of a lame answer, but like 150 milligrams. But each fruit body, each batch can have different psilocin levels in it, so it's really variable. Like I said, you can overshoot. You can take same capsules from the same person. This one's fine, and now I can't function, I'm going home kind of experience. So it really depends. It's not synthetic, right? It's not westernized pharmaceuticals. But 150 to 250 milligrams is a subperceptual dose.
Yeah, and I've seen most big guys, it's 350. Yeah.
And there's strain differences. There's strain differences, and where you're procuring, and know your grower.
And April, you said something interesting about that person didn't have an experience, and then the gray curtain, right? It's not sometimes the medicine. That's probably a trauma response, and that's the shadow that's doing the work. What's the block? I could give you 6 grams and you might have a gray curtain. You couldn't get past that or pierce the veil, so to speak. There's a protector there. That's something that's guarding you. So it's not more medicine, right? It's doing the work. What is there and how can we get you through that so that you can have the experience?
Yeah. Wanting to maintain control. Hi.
Hi. I'm going to do a self-promotional thing because it's an audience of women.
Alexa's allowed to do that, yes.
Thank you. But because you said we are not studying women, I'm going to just put it out there. So I'm a psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, and I'm running the first study giving MDMA, heroic doses, not psilocybin, MDMA, to people with narcissism. Nice. Right? So you don't have, and we're giving to 12, so nobody's done a study giving a psychedelic to personality disorder yet. This is the first one anybody's done. We are doing 12 people. It's a pilot. It's through the U. The FDA has approved it. All I have are men. I know. Narcissism exists in women too. It's just a defense structure. It's a set of defenses from early developmental trauma. It is not the stigmatizing thing that we all hear that word and freak out, but it does cause damage to you and to people in your life. So if any of you are in therapy and are 64 or younger, because the FDA would not let us give this to anybody over 65, because then you're geriatric with the FDA. Also really frustrating because they are not giving psychedelics to older people. We aren't going to know about that age group either. If you're under 64 or younger, and you can get off your SSRIs, and you think you have narcissism, come find me. I will welcome you with open arms. It's also through the UW. So look up UW, narcissism, and MDMA, and you'll find us. That's it. Thank you.
I'm just gonna keep the memory of an open call for narcissistic women in my heart. And there are people in the audience pointing at their person right now. So please participate in that study. Let's stop narcissism any way we can. Thank you.
Okay, we are at time. Can we have these two questions? Okay, great. And for the questions that we didn't get to on the iPad, I will answer them on
Taller
Substack.
person. I'll do this. Hello, my name's Andrea. Nice to see you again. I wanted to just mention something about the research and ask you a question. The research that I understand is that a lot of it's been done with shock trauma and not developmental trauma. And so the questioner that came up and talked about their fear, and your wonderful response about, be afraid. I wanted to just invite you to say a little bit more about guiding. Specifically related to companioning people who are working with that developmental trauma, as you've already alluded. So.
There is distinctly a difference with developmental trauma, and Kelly mentioned this a little bit. She called it the gray curtain, and that there are individuals who will, are specifically wanting to do psychedelic assisted therapy to address depression, post-traumatic stress, and it's a different experience where they're not reliving the trauma, they're literally just stuck, and it's just dark. They're just stuck, and they can't get through that curtain, and it's a difficult space, and so the question is, how do you guide someone through that? The preparation is about, building a trust to be able to talk about what's being experienced, right? To trust the facilitator to be able to explore that. That said, you can't really prepare someone for something that's so unknown, right? And so once they're in that space, it's, breathing, it's, let's take the eye shades off, take the eye shades back on, turn on music, take off music, trying different positions. It's almost equivalent to childbirth in that space, right? Like, what do we need to do to kind of help facilitate that? And for others, that first journey, they can get very stuck. And so it's just really processing about that. Having a good therapist helps. But it is different because the studies, especially with combat veterans, they haven't studied a lot about the developmental trauma as much.
What is developmental trauma?
Trauma that starts in early childhood that could even be nonverbal, and just kind of carrying this baggage of maybe memories that are pre-verbal, and there's something that there's there, and they can usually describe that there's something, but can't quite put their finger on it. And I think that that's really important. And there's a lot of neurons that are firing in there, and there's also, we build these walls of protectors, we call them protectors, that just sort of just like, I'm not gonna go there. And you can will yourself to not do that space inside of a psychedelic journey. You can say, nope, not doing that. I'm just gonna lay really still and hope nothing happens ever again. And you can white knuckle it. You can go through the motions. All your defense mechanisms that protected you through trauma can certainly come up while you're in a psychedelic journey. So it is important to work with a trusted therapist and a trusted community that can sit with you, and it may take some time to unlock that and to build the trust with yourself, with your facilitator, and with the medicine.
And what we've really learned and now require is for everybody to be in therapy for a few months before. We're great. We are there to help, and we do a lot of preparation and integration, but we don't carry you forever and ever. And there's a lot that comes up, and you need support in your community, right, in your unit, but also in a therapeutic objective modality to delve into that, and especially if they have a trauma history. We used to think, oh, we could, and now it's like, you need to do this for 3 to 6 months minimum, and then we will revisit it.
Yeah, something that we don't talk about, because we all talk about the trippy stuff. 1 in 5 high-dose psychedelic experiences is an adverse experience that can take up to a year or longer to make sense of. And women are more likely to have adverse experiences, and we think that's because of our hormonal cycles. So the most optimal time to have a heroic dose is during the luteal phase, is what I've been told, because our hormones are most balanced during that time. So track your stuff, think about it. And would you say if you have signed up for a retreat and you spent all this money and you start your period, what do you do?
Well, you be honest, especially if you're going to
You
an
go.
indigenous ceremony.
You go.
You go. And you sit around the medicine. I mean, every time we're around the medicine and in ceremony with somebody else, we learn something. There's beautiful insight and energy exchange in that setting, and you holding support for your peers is a journey of its own. So you go.
Okay, I don't think that's why people go, but
You'll probably take the medicine.
thank you for your patience.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you ladies. I appreciate everyone here. I'm in the throes of perimenopause, and it's a shit show, but I like to say I'm trying to make fertilizer out of it. I got a lot more to say about that, but I'm going to focus the best I can with brain fog. But I'm not wearing my readers. I left them on my chair, so anyway, it's fine. I was almost did, but I'm used to squinting and pretending these are readers, so I'll just do that. You guys are so sweet, though. So I'm sort of slipping in a couple questions in one, but I think it's all related, and just tell me if it's not. I've been researching on my own, and I know ChatGPT isn't the end-all, be-all, but it's got a lot of information. And from what I understand, Golden Teacher seems to be the best strand to start with if you're new and you want something that's a good teacher and gentle. I just know there's like Penis Envy and other ones, but I think I want to. So I was curious what your, yeah, that's a whole other thing too. I was curious what your take is on that, and then I'm only interested in this point at microdosing. Unless I had somebody fabulous that I feel like I could trust. And so I was just kind of curious. I know that I've heard that if you're doing the right or the best dosage in the beginning, you don't necessarily feel it like a huge impact. It'll just start to notice. But also I'm highly sensitive, which makes me very gifted in a lot of areas, but also very challenged in others. And I had tried last year this tiny little dose. I didn't know what version it was, but it was tiny. And
Did you overshoot it? You just overshot it.
No,
Yeah?
I didn't. It's just me. It was so tiny, and then the TV was acting weird, and I was like, oh, God. And then the next day, it was tiny. And then the next day, my nervous system was really like, I was like, oh, my God. So I'm okay with it. I trust it. I know I can do it, but I was just curious what the symptoms or kind of side effects or those are such negative words. I'm trying to be quick, so lack of better words. Kind of what to look for where you might want to take some extra magnesium or electrolyte. And to that note, I was just going to say, why did you choose psilocybin versus, they're doing studies with ketamine and DMA and, where's that lady? There you are. So I was just curious, and that's it for now.
Well, okay,
That's awesome.
That's a lot.
That's
but
a lot.
we're going to try to answer it.
Thank you.
Sorry, James.
I think that building a relationship with microdosing would be great for your sensitivity so that you can have a relationship with the medicine. You can learn to trust it and yourself. So there's that.
But you can also get tinctures.
Yes.
And you can, that might be in a tea, like a chamomile, right? And just kind of ease into that. Capsules could be harder to dose. You may not know your strain.
I was just going to say there's different strains. Golden Teacher is great. There are super strains that have twice the amount of psilocybin, so I'd be curious to know if that's the one that you did.
It was an experiment because it didn't say on there. It was just a really pretty box of chocolate.
Yes.
But it came from a good source.
The chocolate's a theme. The chocolate's a theme.
But do you agree that Golden Teacher is the best simple one to start? Or
I think
not
it's a great
necessarily?
option. I think there are others that are but and staying away from the super strains in the beginning is great.
I like Shakti.
Like B plus.
Shakti.
B plus, yeah. Shaktis are really
People writing
beautiful.
Down for me.
Oh, we are recording this, audio and video. So, sorry, you didn't need to take notes. And it'll be on Town Hall's YouTube, my Substack. Yeah.
Wait,
you'll
will
find
I
it.
be on there? It's okay. You're welcome.
You are now.
Okay, thank you.
We've had Voyagers who have had challenges with microdosing and sensitivity. So that really resonates for some of our folks that we've worked with. And the tinctures have helped. but it's almost like the microdosing was like a buzz inside of their body that for them was just too uncomfortable in that space, and so they've chosen to actually save up for heroic dosing, just because that's their preference, right? And this particular person, she's lovely. She'll know who she is when she sees this on YouTube. She really believes that a lot of her sensitivities, and even as she would describe that, her neurodivergence, like she says, I feel like it's not the quite dose for me, or the strain. She almost asks the exact same question, and that's her experimentation. We're not researching that again. We're at the beginning of those fields, so I think that those are important questions. And know thyself, right? And maybe do something you can control more, like with a tincture.
But in general, when it does start to work, do people, not just being highly sensitive, but like people can fumble a bit? And if so, when do you start to kind of notice in general, like 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months? When do people...
Depends on what your goal is, right? So what is your intention? We didn't talk about that tonight, but what's your intention? What is it that you're looking to gain out of the usage of the medicine, right? So it's not... it's not made by Pfizer, so we don't know, what this is going to be for you. But to be more creative, do you want to write more? Do you want to love more? What does that look like?
Yeah.
Connect, yeah. And then start to journal. Like, at this dose, this is what I experienced, right? It was a dud. I didn't experience anything. So that you can actually... Because it should be sub-perceptionable. So you're not really like, whoa, hugging everybody. I mean, I just start giving away things for free. That's what I do.
I guess, not that
okay, we have to
okay.
wrap it up. We just stay afterwards. You guys can chat.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That gives me a little idea. You didn't reference the other drugs, but let me know if you can.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking for
let
some.
you know.
So please.
There's a woman.
Thank you. All right, I just want to, one fun fact, penis envy was named here in Seattle by dancers from Rick's. Woo! If anyone remembers what that is. Okay. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We look forward to seeing you on November 6th.